Yo, welcome to Millennial Matchup YouTube. Today, we're going to be doing a VOD review of a game that I played with this Hoopa Moltres Weezing Sableye Inteleon deck. So, I thought it was a pretty good game. It is up against, what's it called? Mew VMAX, which is a favorable matchup, but it is a potentially tricky one to play. So, I thought it was a good one to go back to and talk about the decision making, what we're actually doing, and how we win. Because like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. A good Mew player has a lot of tricks, namely Psychic Leap and Meloetta, that they can use to throw off your prize trade and potentially win the game. So here's the list I'm currently rocking. I think this might be a little different from the one in the video. The video is from the stream yesterday that we're going to review. And there is some changes that I made throughout the day. This is the one I'm currently at. It'll be in the description box below. This is one of those decks that just like watching it helps. I want to like talk about the cards, but it's also like, you know what? Let's just watch and go over the game together. And as you watch it, you'll start to pick it up. If you've never seen this deck before, it's super cool. I love it. This is my favorite deck in standard format right now, just because there are so many options, so much stuff to do. And it feels like you're playing a real deck that involves decision. Anyway, let's go ahead and like I said, we're going to VOD review one of my games that I had played and point out correct plays, incorrect plays, why they're correct, why they're incorrect, etc. So let's go ahead and check out that game. All right, so we're going to check out our game. Let's turn up that speed real quick. Let's go 1.5 times. So we're playing our Moltres, Hoopa, etc. deck. We're going completely blind into it. We see the Sableye, we see the Weezing. Incredibly obvious, so we're going to start there. You do not want to start the Sableye whenever you can. And we are hitting Mew, which I guess if you saw the preview screen, you are already aware of that. But a very, very good matchup, but one that I still wanted to show off because it's like, it's interesting. You don't play this matchup like any other matchup. You play it a bit slower and you kind of like hold your hand at certain points when you normally wouldn't hold your hand. So it's a very good matchup, but it can definitely be a toughie at times because of how awkward the game is compared to others. So you see our hand, this is not even, there's no decision making to be made here. You research. Kind of sucks, but you know what? Hand sucked big time. So now we draw a real hand and we can actually do some stuff with it. So we play Training Court, we play Klara. This matchup specifically, you want to find a way to get 2 dark energies in the discard pile, maybe even a third, pretty early in the game. So what we're going to do here is this hand is absolutely dead unless we have a Drizzile next turn. So we're obviously going to go grab a Sobble. I think most of you would have figured that out regardless. We're going to go ahead and quick ball this dark energy right here because we want the dark energies in the discard pile. There's obviously like, oh, we have 3 dark energies in hand essentially, so getting rid of one is nice. But getting a dark energy in the discard pile is a bonus in this matchup. It's something that you do want to do. When we do this check, also, we want to double check how many Weezings we have. Real quick, we are going to Ascension, but there's a weird situation where what if we prize both Weezings? Do we actually want to attach active? You know, what do we want to do there? Maybe we want to attach to the benched Koffing instead and kind of threaten the like, hey, I've got a Weezing in hand. Maybe make the turn a little awkward for them. You know, I prize them, etc., etc. So we're going to go ahead and quick ball this. We're going to go ahead and grab a Sobble. The Sobble, like I said, check the number of Weezings. In this matchup specifically, too, the prizes you want to check, you want to count your number of Moltres, you want to count your number of Klara, and checking our other Raihan and our other Sableye is also good. I have used Sableye to take KOs in this matchup somewhat frequently, more than 0 times. So I think it's worth mentioning. Ascension, you always bench the second Koffing there too, because they usually play 1 to 2 escape ropes. And if they play an escape rope, we want to give them the Koffing, not the Sobble. If we give them the Sobble, we lose the game. My opponent thankfully cannot boss this turn because they have to Elisa's in order to attack. Here's the rope. Okay, perfect. You'll love to see us not get punished and make the correct play. So yes, the Koffing goes in the active. They can KO my Koffing. That's fine. They do get abilities back, which is huge for them. They get the Genesect out of the active and they get abilities back. But you know what? No big deal. They give us Rose Tower instead of Training Court. That's a very good play by my opponent. When you're playing Mew, you do not want to give Training Court to the Weezing deck if you can avoid it. Sometimes you have to. Hit the Cram-matic heads. Cram is going to be able to grab both of those Fusion Strike energies. And there's the Fusion Strike system. They're just drawing all the cards in the world. Throw down Vitality Band, thin out the hand a little more, just looking for a basic energy or a Fusion Strike energy. Nope, thinning some more. Thinning some more. burning a switch. Now here's actually a misplay by my opponent. They switched and then retreated immediately. Remember, this is like really big advice, and this is one of the things that really separates the players from like the I'm pretty good at the game, but I still am inconsistent, versus the ones that are like constantly at top cut. Maybe they're not great players, but they're good players. Something as simple as don't retreat until you have all the information you need. In this situation, my opponent doesn't have all the information they need. They still have a Fusion Strike system left. You can retreat the Mew after the Fusion Strike system. There's literally no card you can draw that means I can't retreat this Mew, but there are cards you can draw that say I don't want to retreat this Mew. So by going switch into this Mew, that's a fine play. Totally fine play by my opponent. Retreating the Mew and then using Fusion Strike system, that is 110% of the time a misplay. And they actually get punished. You'll love to see it. Okay, so they whiff, which is super cool for us. We also top deck an Incense, which is huge. This hand is now absolutely nutty. We're going to get double Weezing online to play around a secondary escape rope. In this situation, this sequencing is actually super cool. I spent a little time thinking about this when I was on stream too, and I hope I make the correct play. We can Rose Tower or we can Evo Incense first. 100% of the time, this Evo Incense is going to go for a Drizzile. There's absolutely nothing we can Rose Tower into that doesn't want to get a Drizzile off of this. Even if we Rose Tower for 1 into a Research, that's what we want a Drizzile for, we can Incense for a quick ball away the net, and then Research. Like, there's just so many options. We always get a Drizzile here, so we're actually going to thin the Drizzile out of the deck and then Rose Tower. Because there's other cards that we'd like to draw potentially off this Rose Tower, which could also inform what we're going to Drizzile into. That's a good one. Okay, we get the Dark Energy. Second Dark Energy in the discard pile is, again, absolutely huge in this matchup. We're going to grab our last Research here. I'm trying to think. In this situation, we want to ask ourselves, do we want to Research or do we want to Marnie? Research sees more cards, but we also want to ask, what does our opponent have in their hand? Our opponent's hand, we know, does not have an energy card. That's very big. If our opponent's hand does not have an energy card in it, we don't really want to Marnie them because that's getting closer to another energy card. So there's kind of that debate of, do I Marnie or do I not? In this case, we see more cards with Research. Good. They don't get to see more cards, which means they're closer to energy. Also good. All right, I went a little too fast there. Bench the Sobble. We're going to Level Ball, grab another Sobble as well, and then let's look at the rest of the hand. So we have another Level Ball, an Incense, double Quick Ball, Marnie. We're probably going to Marnie next turn. We also want to keep both of these around so we can Quick Ball a Quick Ball and grab something else as well. Totally a fine option. Quick Balls are one of your best assets because Quick Balls are the way that you find your Moltres. You cannot Level Ball for the Galarian Moltres. With that said, one of the best cards in the deck, and one of the ways that I hate to keep telling Mew players how to beat Hoopa Sableye, but you're welcome, Mew players, you're welcome. Tapu Koko, the pivot, is one of the best cards. We are already down one of our Scoop Up Nets. I don't know if in this version I'm playing 3 or 4 at this point in the stream, but if I'm playing 3, we don't have many ways to retreat anymore. They could play a Jammer. They could play a Scrapper. Most Mew lists play Jammer over Scrapper, but that could negate our Balloon. So here, we already have the double, the Level Ball, the Incense. I would like to Quick Ball the Quick Ball to grab a Tapu Koko, because getting a pivot is so big. There is a world where we end up in an awkward situation next turn where we have to have the pivot now, but also just getting the pivot down is so good. Ooh, I don't think I love that play. I get rid of the Level Ball? I mean, we may not have to double Drizzile. We keep the Quick Ball for the Moltres play. Now I'm kind of thinking back if that's the correct play or not. That feels incorrect. I think Quick Balling a Quick Ball would have been better. Like I said, Quick Ball is one of your best assets because you want to be able to Quick Ball late in the game for your Moltres, because otherwise you just can't find it because we don't have one in the discard pile yet. Getting a Moltres in the discard pile, just like Dark Energy, is one of the best things you can do in this matchup. Now my opponent, okay. This is one of the reasons why grabbing the Koko is correct. I was expecting them to attack with this Mew since they seemed really aggressive to attack with this Mew last turn. But instead they come in with this Meloetta. So now next turn, we do not want to use Weezing. Next turn, we want to use Hoopa to KO the Meloetta. Another thing, my opponent should have an Oricorio on their bench. I probably don't play an Oricorio. We saw Crushing Hammer, so they probably play a bunch of jank instead of good cards. And so they probably don't play it, but normally Mew decks, if you play Oricorio, you want it on the bench for this specific matchup, because now we're going to go Hoopa KO this, and we're going to decimate your board just a little bit. Okay, we top deck another net. So kind of a weird situation of like, what are we going to grab here? We want Hoopa, we want energy. We have ways to get those. So we can go Incense for Training Court, Quick Ball the net for the Hoopa, bench Hoopa. We can Rose Tower for 1, then play the Training Court. So actually, the correct sequencing here, I think, would be Quick Ball the net, grab the Hoopa, bench the Hoopa, Rose Tower for 1. Yeah. Rose Tower for 1, see what we draw into. We could also quick ball the Incense because the net is essentially another Drizzile. Apparently that's what I do. Interesting. Sure. There's the court off the top. That's kind of sick. We can court the energy back. We're just going to go and Marnie before we court. We draw into an energy. We'd like to attach that energy as opposed to put down the, what's it called? As opposed to take one out of the discard pile. And we're going to Assault Gate for the knockout. Let's think back to that play. Getting rid of the Incense over the net. I guess we can always net the Drizzile. Keeping the net in deck gives us more options than keeping the Incense in deck because Quick Shooting does literally nothing in this matchup. Like, it doesn't fix math because Quick Shooting doesn't go through Fusion Strike energy. Actually, I like the play on stream more than I like the play now that I'm thinking back to it. Getting rid of the Incense there was the correct play, but this Assault Gate play, always when your opponent shoves the Meloette in the active, you want to get Assault Gate Hoopa out there ASAP. Quick Ball's a really good prize card. Okay, our hand's kind of booty, but we do have a Marnie for next turn, which is cool. So next turn, the plan is probably going to be to Weezing, poison this thing again. We could top deck something so we can Raihan this. Bench the Sableye, Raihan to the Sableye. That is another option that we could totally get, at which point we would, I think, just win the game if we can get this KO next turn. But we're most likely going to have to go into a Weezing play. My opponent could also Psychic Leap the active, which would remove our Sableye play. But they would need, there's one, and they would need a second. Okay, never mind. They can make the Psychic Leap play now, if they so desire. Cemetery is also very good. Good for them. It's really bad for us. We wanted that Training Court to stick. They don't always play this. Sometimes they just play like the Rose Tower and the Training Court. My opponent plays both. I really like the Psychic Leap play by them. Promote this Koko. You're seeing the value of Koko come into play as well. I forgot we top decked the Raihan. That feels so bad. Oh my gosh. We top decked the Raihan. Hooray. Now we can't use the Raihan. Yeah, there's nothing that actually like makes this good. So we're just gonna have to Marnie and pray. We do not want to evolve into Quick Shooting. Quick Shooting just doesn't do anything in this matchup. And we'd rather keep this open for a Shady Dealings Inteleon later in the game. We also don't want to put this bench space because we can KO this with a Baby Moltres if we hit the absolute newts, which is kind of cool. So we want to keep that bench space open. We want to keep the Quick Ball open because there's no reason to grab the Moltres yet. It's also our last Quick Ball. So at this point, we are sad, but I think we just throw down the Marnie. Yeah, geez, that Psychic play by my opponent was really good. No reason not to Marnie. No reason to Raihan to anything. Oh, I see the play I'm looking at. I can Quick Shooting this and KO it with the Sableye. Oh, I didn't even see that play on the reef. I don't like that Sobble bench. We do have the KO next turn, though. The hand we drew is very, very, very good. There's nothing my opponent can really do to disrupt this, and this is one of those situations where we're just going to play out of this hand for like the rest of the game. And this is how we're going to get the rest of our prizes. My opponent's going to take a knockout. That's fine. 3 is the magic number where we just start KOing stuff with the Galarian Moltres, the baby Galarian Moltres. Toss the Koko. Good job. Yep. That is always the correct choice there. It gets them to draw more cards. Getting rid of the Koko is annoying for me because I rely on that thing to chain these Moltreses. Moltres. And there is the Fusion Strike system. They are about to deck out. Okay, now they've taken 3 prizes. That means we're hitting the exact number that we need. So in this case, we are going to put down the balloon. Thankfully, the jammer went on the bench, not the active, because the active already had a vitality band on it. Now the question is, what do we actually do? We're going to promote the Drizzile, because if we top deck net, which we did, my gosh, rewarded. If we top deck the net, then we can save the balloon. and we would want to net this over something else. Now, with that said, we are not going to net this because this has a tool jammer. So we want to use the balloon now and the net next turn. They're never going to disrupt our hand. Mew players, play one Marnie for this matchup. Highly recommend it. But since you probably play no Marnies because you play Crushing Hammers and Fan of Waves and all that jank, we're totally fine. So we're going to balloon the active, save the net for next turn. So in this one with the tool jammers in the active, we can again pivot. So we're going to go ahead and Klara. We're going to Klara back. We're going to do both. We should get back double energy, and I think double Drizzile is optimal here. Because, like I said, they can't disrupt our hand. I'm eyeing up the Koko. What we could do is we'd actually bench the Koko, net the active Drizzile, and then we get the guaranteed pivot as well. I don't do that. I don't know why I don't do that. So I have a lot of plays to make, and I don't think I make any of the correct ones. So we could Klara for double Drizzile if I'm going to put the balloon on the active. That way we have double shady dealings for sure next turn. Or if I'm going to grab the Koko, I should bench the Koko, net the active into the Koko. Also, I should play the Training Court before the Old Cemetery. That's such a bad play. I just took 40 damage on the chin for no reason, which makes it easy for them to potentially Psychic Leap into a single prizer next turn. Psychic Leap for the KO into a single prizer, and then we can actually lose the game. So, miserable turn. I got really fixated on the, oh, Klara for Moltres GG's, when in reality, I think every play was incorrect. Now the question of, is the Koko better than the second Drizzile? No. Looking back, I think the Drizzile is just a significantly better play. We already have the pivot in hand of the Scoop Up Net, so we don't need another pivot. Another shady dealings almost gives us checkmate. It's like I said, they're not going to disrupt our hand. So it's one of those situations where just building your hand in this matchup is so good. And building your hand for the following turn is so good. There's the court, a little late. Took it on the chin like a boss. Balloon the active, retreat, take the knockout. We do not want to use the net yet. I've already mentioned the tool jammer play. And the Fiery Wrath for, oh, perfect math, 340 damage. You love to see it. And suddenly, they were winning, now they're losing. You love to see that too. And the hand is flawless. We have shady dealings for Klara, and we just win the game. We got the energy as well, so if they bump our Training Court with another stadium, which maybe they will, I don't know. We're fine. We don't have to go get an energy search or anything like that, or hope to draw it, or, whatever. So now, my opponent doesn't bench a single prizer, which also means they can't Psychic Leap KO, which is huge because someone messed that up. They could have Psychic Leap with a single power tablet. They have one left. Or a second Vitality Band, I guess, but they already have a thing on the active. They already used a Vitality Band, so that's probably not going to actually happen. And they whiff anyway, so we just win the game. Cool. But hopefully it gives you an idea of how to play the Sableye, Moltres, etc. deck up against Mew. It does not always go that way at all. Sometimes they don't miss that KO on your Koffing, but honestly, even if they get the KO on the Koffing, we're still winning that game every single time because we just promote into a Weezing, and then every other turn works out pretty much exactly the same as it did before. So like I said, they don't always miss the KO on the Koffing, but I think the game still works out the exact same way that you saw it work out otherwise. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, all the other YouTube stuff, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out.